Joining me now is Lorella Praeli. She's Director of Immigration Policy and Campaigns at the American Civil Liberties Union. I want to ask you, Lorella, I know your sister joined me this weekend on CBSN. You were undocumented for 14 years. You're now a citizen through marriage. Your sister who joined me is actually a DACA recipient. What do you fear most for your sister right now?
I fear that the government has all of her information. They know where she lives. They have all of her history. They know where she works. And more importantly, I worry about her mental health. This is a really cruel announcement by the administration to upend the lives of 800,000 people around the country and to keep using them as political pawns in the Washington, D.C. game. But the truth is that up until Donald Trump became president of the United States, there was a certain level of certainty that DACA recipients like Maria, my sister, had in their lives. They could apply to work, they could take out loans, they could insure their own cars. And so I fear that people are very scared right now, that they're confused about what this means for their lives and their future. We have a lot of work in the days ahead and in the month ahead to ensure that everyone who can still submit a renewal request does so immediately. But it's a really difficult day for our country. You
say you're really afraid of the days ahead. What actions do you think that the ACLU will be taking in response to the president's decision to end DACA?
So there are a number of things that we will be doing. We are going full force on a legislative strategy, and we will be pursuing a permanent legislative fix for this constituency. There is the political will and, frankly, the urgency to address this via a permanent legislative clean DREAM Act in the House and in the Senate. And frankly, all of this is coming as a result of a manufactured crisis that is the result of an artificial deadline set by anti-immigrant forces around the country. And so it is on us to ensure that Congress advances a legislative fix, and that is the DREAM Act. It is a standalone bill. It isn't tied to a border security bill, that it is not tied to interior enforcement. And so that is one of the strategies we will be pursuing. We will be doing a lot of work around the country to educate the community in partnership with other organizations so that DACA recipients and their families know their rights, that they know that if they continue to have DACA, they are protected by it, and they can't just be arbitrarily terminated. And so with that, we will also be working to defend the rights of DACA recipients and to ensure that this promise that they've made, that DACA recipients who have DACA and a work permit will continue to have this protection, will be actually able to carry that out. And we just don't trust this administration. We have seen in the last few months and have been working on the case of a DACA recipient whose name is Jessica Colado from the state of Georgia. When DHS went out and rescinded her DACA, they terminated her DACA arbitrarily out of nowhere for no good reason. And her case is still pending. The agency has to give her her DACA and her work permit back. And so we're going to be on the lookout to ensure that dreamers who have DACA actually are able to keep their DACA in place and that DHS doesn't run wild and terminate it.
You talk about DHS not running wild and terminating it. The Attorney General argued that the Dreamer program was unlawful. What would you say to him?
I would say that, you know, they're trying to hide behind the courts and they're trying to hide behind this argument. But the truth is that the legal validity of DACA has been successfully defended in courts in previous years, right after DACA was announced, actually. And it's been in place for the last 5 years. It is a successful program. You know, frankly, this isn't a legal decision that they're making. This is a political decision that they're making. And it's cruel, it's inhumane, especially to do so at a time when there is no permanent solution in place. And so we're not going to fall for it. The American public isn't going to fall for it. And DACA recipients aren't going to fall for it. And what we know is that they control both chambers in Congress. President Trump sits in the White House. And if he wants a permanent legislative solution to take care of this problem that they themselves have created, then it's on them to fix it immediately.
You know, Lorella, you put a lot of political pressure on the White House, the Obama White House, to fight deportations before DACA, you know, during his first term. What gives you the most hope when you talk about DACA being rescinded and from a legal pathway? What gives you the most hope when you're fighting these deportations?
I mean, the most hope is always in, I have to keep on grounding myself on the courage and the resilience of our parents. Many of whom are undocumented, and they've sacrificed everything for us to be here. And so what gives me hope at the end of the day is the community and the support, the outpouring support that we have received in the last weeks and months as they've been deliberating what to do with the DACA program. The business community has come out in favor. The education community. I heard Sarah Huckabee Sanders today say that there's virtually no attorney who can defend the legal validity of DACA, and that is just purely false. Over 100 law professors and scholars wrote a letter to the administration just underscoring the legal frameworks and all of the background and making the case for why DACA is constitutionally and legally sound. And so what gives me hope at the end of the day is that we're not going down without a fight. And today the administration, in their talking points to the Hill, also suggested that Dreamers and DACA recipients should be preparing their travel documents and all of their paperwork in case they have to leave the United States. And I just have to say that's not going to happen. It shows their true motives and intention, but we are going to fight for a permanent solution. Ultimately, we're going to fight this administration and ensure that DACA recipients can continue to call this country their home.
Lorella Praeli, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.